Ocean acidification is the increase in acid concentration and pH levels in the ocean. Ocean acidification has grown into a large issue today as the entire fishing industry is collapsing and ecosystems are deteriorating. It is caused by higher amounts of carbon in the atmosphere and ocean, as well as water pollution. The burning of fossil fuels and industrialization have contributed to the increase of carbon in the atmosphere. When the atmosphere contains more carbon, it warms up and the heat is absorbed by the ocean. The pH level lowers from the chemical reaction of the carbon being absorbed by the water. This in turn decreases the concentration of carbonate ions and calcium carbonate materials, the building blocks for many sea creatures' shells and skeletons. The acid makes it difficult for sea animals to build their shells, and without the protection of their shells, the animals die and result in wrecking the food web.
Ocean acidification has become increasingly worse in recent years. Ocean acidity has gone up more than 30% in the past 200 years, which is more than it has in the past 50 million years. As acidity increases, the entire ocean is greatly affected. Changes in pH is very detrimental to many living things above and below the water. It affects marine life's ability for chemical communication, reproduction, and growth, leading some organisms to extinction, which harms the biodiversity of the ocean. Marine animals like sea urchins, oysters, coral, or plankton will be affected and may have trouble growing or forming, and may dissolve instead. When some animals go extinct or decrease in numbers, the food web of the ocean is harmed for the feeding of many animals. In the future, the composition of ocean life will have to adjust and reorganize themselves. Many communities will greatly struggle because of what acidification is doing. Fisheries and aquaculture will be threatened, stressing jobs and food security for over 1 billion people who depend on the ocean for their livelihood. Also, communities that rely on aqualife or tourism for their main economy will be hurt. As ocean acidification keeps increasing, many people all over the world will have to face the consequences.
Ocean acidification relates to the Catholic social justice teaching of care for God's creation. The USCCB says care for the earth is a requirement of our faith. We are called to protect people and the planet, living our faith in the relationship with all God's creation. Ocean acidification has fundamental moral and ethical dimensions that cannot be ignored by the faith community. The ocean is home to millions of species of plants and animals, all created by God. As the acidity of the ocean rises, God's creation dies as it is unable to adapt to the toxic environment that humans have created. Cardinal Peter Turkson of Ghana represented the Catholic Church at the United Nations Ocean Conference, stating, "If these present trends continue, this century may well witness an unprecedented destruction of the ecosystem of the Earth."
Research done by George Waldbusser, a marine ecologist at Oregon State University, and his team found that oysters who had more growth and less damage formed ocean acidification when they were growing around or close to beds of eelgrass. Waldbusser is part of a team of scientists around the world who are exploring the idea that seagrasses, kelps, and shell beds might counteract rising ocean acidity. Other animals that have been benefited from close habitation to seagrasses include coral. Coral growing closer to seagrasses had about an 18% growth compared to those who were not. Sadly, seagrasses are one of the planet's most threatened ecosystems. But to counteract the decrease in seagrasses, different projects have been started, such as the first large-scale project to intentionally plant and grow kelp to suck up carbon dioxide, which is the Puget Sound Restoration Fund. They won $1.5 million from Paul G. Allen Ocean Challenge to investigate potential for sugar kelp to reduce acidity in local waters. Another project has been going on for the past several years in Maine by Nicole Price of Bigelow Laboratory for Ocean Science. They have been taking data on the kelp that has been affecting ocean acidification around and in Kelp Farm Ocean Approved. This data allowed for the farm to start growing more kelp to help be replanted in areas that are in extreme need. Other ways to help is by donating to these several different organizations such as NOAA